What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And we've got some breaking news this morning. Not good breaking news, guys. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Hollywood Brown is headed to IR to get surgery on his injured shoulder. This report comes from Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report. He says, sources, the Chiefs are placing wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown on IR, and he will undergo surgery to repair his dislocated SC joint. After multiple imaging studies, it was determined that although Hollywood felt better, his injury was not healing correctly. Without corrective surgery, he would risk a more serious long-term injury. The surgery is scheduled for Monday with Dr. Peter Millett in Vail, Colorado, and the Chiefs will monitor his rehab progress throughout the season. So this is obviously pretty devastating news, considering that we all thought Hollywood was maybe on track to even play this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Whenever he first sustained the injury in preseason, most of us thought he'd be out 4 to 6 weeks, and he'd be back probably within the first few weeks of the regular season. And Andy Reid even complimented him on his progress, saying, like, he's close but not quite there yet. And, you know, he said he was day to day. And now all of a sudden we're getting the news that he's going on IR, getting surgery, and is going to miss a significant chunk of this season, maybe even the entire regular season. Soren Petro of 810 WHB in Kansas City even sent out a tweet saying, I'm hearing that Hollywood Brown will be out months and not weeks. The timeline looks more like 3 months than just the minimum 4-week stay on IR. Ari Myrov of My Sports Update even followed this up by saying this is going to be a long-term injury, longer than the initial 4 weeks that a player will typically spend on IR. Again, really devastating to hear for an injury that we all thought was going to be relatively short-term. Now sounds like it could knock Hollywood out for the rest of the regular season. It sounds like best case scenario at this point, he's back by December and is able to come back to the Chiefs for the playoff run, for the stretch run of the regular season. And what's really frustrating about this to me is the fact that why wasn't this done a month ago? Why did we sit around and wait for this diagnosis to come when Hollywood Brown could have received this surgery a month ago and would have already had a bunch of recovery time knocked out? Now, I understand hindsight is 2020, and maybe the Chiefs thought he could be back, sooner, and they never foresaw this possibility, and I get that. But man, you think about those F grades that the Chiefs receive year after year for their training and medical staff on the NFLPA report cards, and I feel like this is yet another incident that really sheds light on it. And heck, we even got a soundbite from Kyle Van Noy, the Ravens linebacker, earlier this week, who had some comments for the Chiefs medical staff and how they treated him for his injury that he sustained in that week 1 game. So I'm not here to get into all that, but it just kind of makes you wonder a little bit, and I definitely figure that was worth mentioning because it really just bums me out hearing that Hollywood Brown could miss the entire season when he could have been healing from this a long time ago. An AC joint separation is an injury that we've only heard of happening a few times over the last several years. One of those incidents being Tyreek Hill, of course, when he was with the Chiefs in 2019. But every single player that has sustained an AC joint dislocation in that time span that I'm referencing, they were able to return in that 4 to 6 week time frame. So it's just very peculiar to have this injury take so long to heal and to just now have Hollywood going on IR. It's super frustrating, and he was a newcomer on this team, a player that we really all wanted to see in this offense, and we're just going to have to wait. But this is also why you rebuild the wide receiver room. This is why you draft Xavier Worthy, and this makes the Xavier Worthy draft pick so much more important, because the Chiefs brought in Hollywood Brown to take the top off of defenses and have that deep threat in the offense, yet again, that they had been missing for the past couple of years. And they drafted Xavier Worthy to eventually take that spot over from Hollywood Brown, being that he was only on a short-term deal. It just makes that selection a lot more important. You're going to see a heavy dose for Xavier Worthy now, a lot heavier of a dose than a lot of us were expecting at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, it's really tough to not have Hollywood Brown. I mean, this is what we were trying to avoid. This is why you add depth to the wide receiver room. And at this point with this injury and how long it sounds like it might take, if I were the Chiefs, I would be keeping my eye out for another receiver to add to this room, because with Hollywood Brown being out now, this room starts to look a lot more like it did last year. Because that room really was just Rashee Rice and a bunch of guys scraping by. Now, Rashee Rice we think is going to take a step forward this year. And then, of course, you have Xavier Worthy, who we think is going to be a guy, right? He's already shown a lot of signs early on. But Xavier Worthy is still a rookie. You have to remember that. Last year, when Rashee Rice was only a rookie, the Chiefs relied way too heavily on him. They really had to speed up his progression because they had no one else. And I just really think the Chiefs need to try as hard as they can to stay away from that exact same scenario from unfolding this year. And that's why the Hollywood Brown injury just sucks, man. It really sucks. I mean, he was going to be a big part of the offense this year, guys. He was the signing that we made to fix the wide receiver room that was so bad last year. Like, that was the one big free agent addition they made. And then, of course, you brought back Juju, who I like, and I think, you know, he gives you a safe floor. He's a reliable option, knows the offense, but he's not the same player that he was 2 years ago, not even close. And so now all of a sudden this wide receiver room gets a little bit scary, right? And that's why you need to keep your eye out for another guy, I think, at the trade deadline. It just really sucks, man. I mean, we were supposed to add Hollywood Brown back to this offense, and just to get news like this, it really, really stings when you thought you were going to have him back in just a week or two. I mean, even I was saying on my live stream last week, oh yeah, it sounds like 70-30, he'll probably be back for week 2, if not definitely week 3. I mean, that's what Andy Reid made it sound like. And the lack of transparency from the organization is just really frustrating. And again, I get it, hindsight is 2020, and maybe they thought he was going to get better, but man, that's really tough to stomach. Now, here's the really interesting part that I wanted to talk about amidst all this Hollywood Brown chaos. If I were the Kansas City Chiefs, I would try extending Hollywood Brown right now. And some people may be thinking, what the heck? Well, why would you extend someone that might miss the entire season? Because he originally came here on a 1-year deal, right? A cheap 1-year deal, 1-year prove-it deal, and the Chiefs were going to give him the opportunity to cash in next offseason. Clearly, whatever numbers Hollywood Brown was hoping to hit this year aren't happening because of this injury. They're not happening this year. So really, Hollywood Brown next year in free agency is going to be in the exact same position that he was in this past offseason, where he is going to be coming off a disappointing year, or a year where he didn't really have great numbers, right? Because his numbers weren't great last year with Arizona. They were okay. They were decent. That's why the Chiefs were able to get him for a good value and, you know, the opportunity to play with a contender and everything like that. But it's not like he'll be able to do anything this year to really raise his stock or to be able to get a multi-year deal. It's just really hard to see that happening. But you know that he's a productive veteran wide receiver. You could get him for an absolutely awesome deal right now, a great value deal right now if you just extend him. Because, I mean, if he's hardly going to play this year, you know, you didn't really get to see him. You didn't get anything out of that 1-year contract. So why don't you go ahead and tack another year onto that deal, give Hollywood Brown some security, add some incentives this year for next year so that he can make more money if he actually stays healthy and plays and hits the numbers that he wants to. And then he can cash in the following offseason if he chooses. But I think the Chiefs are in an interesting position right now, and they have to try to turn this negative into a positive. And a good way to do that would be to extend Hollywood Brown one more year, because you're essentially losing him for all of this year. But we think that he can help this offense, and if he were to leave next year in free agency, you're just going to have to end up going out and signing another veteran wide receiver, I think. So why can't that veteran wide receiver just be Hollywood Brown for another year? That's my opinion. Overall, those are my thoughts on this Hollywood Brown injury. Bottom line, it sucks. I mean, you wanted to see him in this offense. You wanted to see him come in and boost this wide receiver room. I mean, again, that was the one big veteran free agent addition that you made. And now you're left with the wide receiver core that is mostly young, inexperienced, or doesn't have a lot of proven guys in it. Hollywood Brown was that proven wide receiver that we were looking to add on this team. Now you don't have that. It's Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, a rookie and a sophomore in this league. I just don't think that's enough. I think, we're trying to avoid what happened last year. And so if Hollywood Brown's not going to be here, you have to get another proven guy. A proven guy. Maybe like the Browns season goes terrible, and at the trade deadline they're looking to sell, and you can go grab Amari Cooper from the Cleveland Browns or somebody like that. And that's just a name that I'm throwing out there. It doesn't have to be him, but that's kind of where my mentality would be if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs looking at this situation. So yeah, sucks. Hollywood Brown going to IR, probably bound to miss most of the regular season. I want to hear from you guys, though. What are your thoughts on the Hollywood Brown injury? What's your outlook on it? What do you think the Kansas City Chiefs should do? Let me know down below. With all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com for more. I'll see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!